I thought your run was Friday. You're telling me now it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of the Pittsburgh Marathon, you were on the other side of the state taking part in what?
The Philadelphia Broad Street Run, the 47th annual Philadelphia Broad Street Run.
Almost as old as me.
Almost as old as you.
Wait, how many? What was it? 47?
47.
Wow. 1 year older than me.
It is a lot more older than me.
So how did it go, and was there any big difference from last year for you?
Last year was my first time running it in about 4 or 5, I think since COVID, because I had moved after that, so I couldn't run in it. The last year was more about just trying to get back into it a little bit. I've been dealing with some injuries leading into, or for the year leading into it. So it's just like, let's go run this and come out of the other side healthy. It was super humid last year. So I actually, for the first time in the, at that point, 6 races I had run, had to walk parts of it. Every other year I had run the race, it was slow. I'm not a sprinter or runner and don't play one on TV, but I was at least able to, as soon as I hit the starting line, I ran the next 10 straight miles until I hit the finish line, and then proceeded to collapse on the ground and crawl towards the Philly pretzels and water and bananas that they had.
I am Butler Eagles sports writer Derek Pida, and here with me today are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagles sports editor Jake Murda Adams. This is Season 2 of the Alter Eagles Eye on Sports.
This year, I felt a lot healthier going in. The weather was perfect, but for whatever reason, the groin capsule injury I've been dealing with for like 2 or 3 years decided to flare its ugly, ugly head, and about a mile into the race just started clicking the entire time. And it impacts your gait, because even though it's not really hurting so much, you're trying to keep it from clicking because you know that it's eventually going to start hurting. Mm-hmm. So it's impacting everything else. And what should have been like a nice, easy run for me, because I had been training for it, and training had been going relatively well, I did not have it, and I put up my slowest time ever. And I had 2 friends that were cheering people on. They knew I was going to be in it. They had some other friends that were going to be in it. When I got to them at about mile 5, I looked at them and I'm like, I am struggling. So I got a text from one of them after the race, like, how are you doing? I'm like, contemplating retirement. And that's how it was. Like every 2 miles I would have to, I was legitimately stopping, getting off to the sidewalk a little bit, and just trying to do like side lunges to stretch open my hip a little bit, so that way I could get through the next 5 minutes with as little pain as possible, then run another 15 minutes uncomfortably, get to the next 2 mile or so, and pull over again and do the same thing. Like I was really disappointed and frustrated with it for myself, but I hope to try to learn some stuff from this time and do it again next year. I'm on number 7, so I really would like to try to do 10 of these if I can.
So let me ask you this. On Friday, I was thinking about you. I was like, Jake's on the other side of the state running, probably struggling. Mm-hmm. I hope things go well for him. So what were you doing on Friday? I thought the race was Friday.
Friday, I was flying back from Florida because Mallory and I were there to go to Universal Studios for 2 days. Actually, the Epic Universe, the new park that opened last year, is not a 2-day park. It's a 1-day park. We were there for 2 days and got really bored after a little. I shouldn't say bored. Like, we still did things, but we had done all the rides almost by day 1, so we're repeating ourselves on day 2. So Friday was flying back. We hung out with some friends for dinner. Saturday, Mallory and I went into Chinatown a little bit, walked around through some shops. Mallory really likes Philadelphia's Chinatown, which is probably the one thing about the city that she does enjoy. And then had some dinner. I chilled. I went to bed early, popped some ZQL at like 9 o'clock. We watched a little bit of the Sixers and Flyers games. I went to bed before the Sixers finished off the Celtics, so I didn't know until the next morning if they had actually won. And we were talking crap about the Hurricanes when they were up 2-0, because it's like, oh, this is right where the Flyers want them, down in the first period. This is what they're gonna do. And I woke up to find out it was a 3-0 loss, which doesn't surprise me at all. They have no shot in this series. But yeah, then I ran on Friday, and at 12:40 we were on an Amtrak back to Pittsburgh for 6.5 hours, and got home at about
Amtrak.
Yeah. It tends to be a little bit cheaper, and I'm also glad we did it that way, because we probably would have gotten a Spirit flight
Yeah.
from Philly to Pittsburgh. And thankfully we didn't, because otherwise that flight would have been canceled. And
Spirit Airlines no longer exists.
Did you see
Saturday.
the man who was trying to buy it?
I saw it on the news, yeah.
He was a frequent flyer of Spirit Airlines, and he's raised $2 million,
wow.
which
Is
like
nowhere near enough.
2.4 was just nowhere near enough, but he's still like, wow, this is crazy.
That's the only commercial airline that runs in and out of Latrobe,
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Palmer Airport. And just for that airport's sake, I hope they find somebody to take over Spirit Airlines, because otherwise, I mean, is an airport going to be able to stay open if they just have like private flights?
I know, and they just like expanded like to a second terminal, I think, too,
Yeah.
which is just horrible timing. My in-laws fly out of Latrobe all the time to go down to Florida. Where we stayed was at their Florida home for a couple of days, so they fly down. They're migratory birds now. Every winter they go down there and stay for 3 months. They'll fly back in once or twice during the summer just to check on things, hang out for a little bit for like a week at a time, and then fly back. But they always went Latrobe Spirit to Orlando.
Your parents?
My in-laws.
Your in-laws?
Yeah.
Because they live, they're, outside of Greensboro?
Outside of Greensburg, yep. Yeah. So,
What are your thoughts on planes?
Never been on one, so that'll change this year.
Wow, that's right. You've never been on an airplane.
Plan on going to New Orleans this season. So
New Orleans. That's
I think
exciting.
that's the only flight I'll have to make, because Nashville's in driving distance, Boston's in driving distance. I could go down for Jacksonville and Tampa, but I don't think I'm gonna pay for flights down there. So yeah,
I mean, get your flight now. I bought my flight to LA
the
3
thing
months
is,
ago.
I can't buy it until I know when the game is, and we won't know until the end of this month now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they pushed back the schedule release, so fun.
That's another thing that the NFL has changed. It used to be the schedule would come out in mid-April. 2 weeks later, the draft. Now it's the draft and the
Well, now they
schedule.
gotta milk some money out of a draft release show and all that. So.
Oh, yeah, they got to make money off of everything. Speaking of going places, we got some track kids who have some obviously really good chances of doing something once the individual postseason starts, which is now next week. This week coming up is team track in the WPIAL. We got 4 teams involved there. North Catholic boys and girls in AA, which is Tuesday at Peters Township Middle School, and Seneca Valley and Butler boys at West Mifflin High School. I'll be there tomorrow, AAA. Next week is all 3 district meets. WPIAL, District 9, District 10. Brendan's been handling the updates of the honor roll this year, and he's got some updates for us right now.
So first off, it's top of the list on the honor roll, honestly. The Butler's 3,200 relay is 26 seconds faster than any other relay in the county area. They are very strong, so expect them to finish pretty highly. Butler's Carter Ekis, he's a triplet, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he has the fastest times in the county area in the 200 and 400. His brother Logan, his twin brother Logan, is that how you'd say that? Twin brother, triplet brother. He's the fastest in the 100. So
Try, brother.
yeah. Seneca Valley's Dakari Payne, someone that we've all talked to, I believe. I talked to him last year at the WPIAL individual meet, and Jake's talked to him. You've talked to him. He is tops in the high jump, long jump, and triple jump. So he seems to like to leap. Butler's Nico Baguetta. I'm not sure if he's still injured or not. I know he suffered.
He missed the Butler invite. Yeah.
And he missed the team semifinals, too.
He owns a school record in the javelin. He broke that before he got injured. So I'm not sure if he'll be injured going forward, but he's someone to watch out for. He might be playing quarterback again for Butler next year. And on the girls' side, Jake wrote a feature on the Lazara sisters recently. Anna Lazara is best in the 100 meters and the long jump, so a track event and a field event, which I think is pretty interesting. But going through the honor roll, a lot of strong names, and there's a lot of boys and girls that you can pick out that could have strong performances.
I want to talk about the pole vault for just a minute, because we have a defending state champion in the county, Mackenzie Magnus. Yep. Not only won the WPIAL pole vault, but also the Class AA girls pole vault at the state level last year. And she's only a junior. And we also have Alex Wilson from Karn City, another junior who has broken the school record in the pole vault at least twice this year. I believe it's twice. I believe he's now up to 15 feet. And obviously his chances of getting to the state meet seem to be pretty good. He'll be competing in the District 9 championship meet, which is 2 Fridays from now. Also, this was kind of late coming in last week, but the thing that really impressed me about this, and we're talking about Butler's 4x800 relay team on the boys' side, they broke not only the invite record down at Pine Richland, but also the track record, 7:58.77. This quartet included Alex Matonis, Logan Rogers, Mateo Saspy, and Landon Sleer. But the most impressive thing about that for me is, I don't know what the weather was like in Philly on Friday, but here it was 50 degrees, windy, and rainy.
It was a little bit nicer in Philadelphia.
And these 4 kids from Butler ran a 7:58.77 to break an invite record and also the track record. So we talked about this last year, though. When it comes to the district meet and the state meet, you can enter those meets with a full head of steam.
Mm-hmm.
But if for some reason that day you know maybe you're not feeling 100% or your timing's just a little bit off, which timing has so much to do with events like the triple jump and the pole vault and a lot of the field events and even the track events. Something can be just a little bit off, and it could be the difference between you winning a WPIAL title, finishing 5th at WPIALs, not even medaling at WPIALs, or when you get the states, you know, medaling or not medaling out there. It can literally come down to inches or even less than that as to whether or not you have a good day or not.
Mm-hmm.
The variables are aplenty when it comes to track. Hopefully the people you just mentioned and the ones I mentioned in the pole vault and on the track, the best athletes we have, hopefully they find a way to go to their district meet and do what they're capable of doing.
It does seem like, Derek, you're going to make the trip to states again probably this year. It does seem like you're going to have a busy weekend at Shippensburg, because the way that things are setting up right now, there's a lot of individuals who should be able to place highly at WPIALs and a few more at District 9 and District 10. You mentioned Alex Wilson a little bit ago. He's probably, like, if we were to handicap it, probably the number 1 most likely kid out of the northern schools we have to get to the state level, just with what he's been able to do so far. But with Mackenzie Magnus and with the Lazara twins and all 3 Butler boys relays should probably make some noise too at the district meet with the 4x1, the 4x4, and the 4x8. We didn't even really touch on the sprints there. Like, this should be a really busy year. It seems like it's shaping up for postseason coverage for you.
And the 4x1 team for North Catholic girls won a WPIAL title last year, and they also went on the states to win that. Yep. And both Lazara twins were part of that. So we'll see how things turn out. I just hope, number 1, I'm hoping for decent weather, both at the district level and the state level. I've been out in Shippensburg when it's been pretty much like last Friday was, windy, rain, and about 50 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fun being out there to cover it, but I can't imagine, you know, you build up all year your goals to make the state meet, and you make it there, and you go out and you're competing in slop. They actually had to move the pole vault indoors that day because the outside conditions were so bad. That's the number 1 thing that athletes have to be hoping for. Number 1, obviously be healthy, but number 2, hope for a decent weather day, so you don't have to look back and say, well, I only placed 7th at states. I was hoping for better, but the weather was this.
Mm-hmm.
Have the conditions be kind of, at the very least, neutral, you know, to the point where it's not costing anybody, you know, a championship or a medal. You know, let the kids' ability or you know, whatever they're able to do that day decide whether or not they place or not, and not the weather, because that can be a bummer when the weather keeps you from doing something or accomplishing something.
I'd really like to see it stop being 30 degrees at night here. It's May.
Wait till July. It'll get here.
May.
It'll get here.
Come on. I went from 90 degrees in Florida to Philadelphia. It was like 60 and 70, but all 3 days we were there, to today it was like 40 degrees when I woke up.
Ooh.
In May, I should not have to worry about the plants I have outside dying in May.
Hey, you know what you do? You throw sheets over them. Boom. That's how you save them from the frost.
I was away.
Check the weather.
I was away.
Hey, we need,
call a neighbor.
I don't have any that I know.
We need some young ladies to bring some focus into the show right now, because we're going off the rails. And now we're going to talk to Simone Sharpless from North Catholic, Madi Barnyk from Seneca Valley, two area flag football players who just got a really cool experience down in Pittsburgh. Check it out. We have two guests this week on the Eye on Sports podcast, senior flag football players Madi Barnyk from Seneca Valley High School and Simone Sharpless from North Catholic. Both were recently honored as recipients of the Jerome Bettis Leadership Award, and because of that, they were invited to be on stage April 23rd in Pittsburgh when the Steelers made their first round selection in the 2026 NFL Draft. Madi and Simone, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, first off, I want to get your thoughts on the on-stage experience. We're going to start with Madi. What was that time on stage like for you?
Honestly, like nothing I would have ever imagined. I didn't really know like what I was getting myself into, like going into it. Like we didn't get much details ahead of time. So like pretty much everything we found out was when we were backstage waiting for the pick. And it was just like crazy. Like I feel like that kind of made it more exciting because I didn't know what I was doing, but it was insane, to be honest.
Simone?
It was unreal. I mean, the bright lights, the huge screens, cameras all around us, and millions of people watching. I had mixed emotions of excitement and nervousness. But it was funny. The moment I heard Renegade come on, I knew, like, it hit me right then and there that everything was happening. But yeah, it was incredible, and it was definitely something that I'll forever remember.
There was a lot going on down there during those 3 days. Were you guys able to do anything else involved with the draft? Like I said, there was a ton to do, so I'm guessing you guys didn't just get on the stage and leave.
I actually didn't take part in any other festivities that weekend because Thursday for me was a very long day / night. So I caught up on sleep the rest of the night. But
I did get to do some of the stuff. So my family and I went down Thursday morning around like 10 o'clock just to make sure we got a parking spot because we stayed overnight in Pittsburgh. And we kind of just explored, walked around downtown and did a bunch of the stuff. We went to like Point State Park and all that. And it was just crazy to see like all the people and like everyone was there for the same event. But like you probably saw someone from every single team. And it was just cool to see like how people came out to represent their team.
You guys, I'm sure you'd say like the being on the stage is maybe the coolest moment there, but what behind the scenes or things before or after that moment really like stood out to you? What was like the surprising, most fun moment beyond just being on the stage?
I would say just honestly meeting Madi. Like I didn't really know her because I played against her the night before, which was actually really funny. But being able to like spend time with her while being able to experience this one in a lifetime experience was very memorable for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And also just like obviously like, being up on stage was like this big thing and everything, but just like coming off of the stage and seeing like all my friends and family's reaction and like everything, like I swear I couldn't like go on my phone for like a week after without like seeing my face, which is like crazy for me because I don't like being publicized like that and I couldn't avoid that. And so like I literally like a week later I went into work and they were like, hey, I saw you on the draft. And I was like, oh, we're still talking about this. So it was just like seeing everyone's reactions, and like my team did like a watch party kind of for the draft just to like watch the Steelers pick and everything, and I got sent like so many videos and stuff, and just hearing like what people were saying and like the reactions, it was just really like surreal and kind of showed me like everyone that I have like built around me type of thing.
How nervous were you both to just not trip on stage in front of the cameras?
I was so nervous. It was funny because me and Madi were actually talking about that backstage, like right before we walked on. We were like, "Oh my gosh, what happens if one of us falls?"
Yes.
Madi, when we were talking before the draft and when this was kind of announced, you told me you and your mom are Dallas Cowboys fans, which we established just before this interview. I cannot abide. I'm an Eagles fan, as the show very much knows, and these two next to me know. But your sister and dad are Steelers fans. So how did this moment, what did this moment mean to both fan bases here? I'm sure it was like cool from the family perspective, but like, were you and your mom a little bit bummed of like, oh man, it's not the Cowboys?
Yeah. So definitely that was for sure the thing. When they were handing us like the terrible towels like backstage and everything, the first thing I thought to myself was like, oh my gosh, I'm never living this down because like being from Pittsburgh, obviously, like all my friends, all my families, like most of them are Steelers fans, and then like we're all like Cowboys fans. So I was like, I'm never living this down, and I still have it. My dad brings it up probably every single day. Like he's a season ticket holder and everything, so he loved that. He loved to see that and everything. But it's definitely like a competitive type of relationship that like with the fan bases, I guess. But like since we only play every 4 years, it's more of like, oh, like our kicker's better than your kicker, like stuff that doesn't really matter, but it's like kind of fun of it and just stuff like that. And like when they do play, like we got to go to the game this past time that they played a couple years ago in Pittsburgh, and it was just like so cool to see like my family, like even though we're split, it was like the whole stadium was split.
Had the Steelers lost their Ravens in Week 18, they would have gone down to Dallas. Instead, they go to Philly this year. So, fun fact for you, I actually said this to Derek in the office. That was last week. The only NFC team not to make the NFC Championship since 1995 is the Cowboys. So I'm 27. I've never seen the Cowboys.
Was gracious enough to come on the show here.
Just totally crapped all over a team. But you know what?
I've talked to Maddie. I'm a George Pickens fan. I'm an apologist for him. So you kind of explained how you became a Cowboys fan there. Who were your favorite players on the Cowboys, and do you have like one that stands above the rest?
So when he was on our team, it was Micah Parsons, and then he became a Packer, and I was not too thrilled about that, but whatever's the best for him, I guess. But currently, I would say I really like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on both sides of the line. I think that's really good for us. If I had to pick between the two, I'd probably pick CeeDee Lamb just because of his longevity with the team and everything. But I think like them together is like an insane duo to have.
As an Ohio State fan, there were a few places I would not have liked Caleb Downs land, and he ends up in Dallas. So, yeah, that was interesting to see. They made 2 picks on draft night, so you got to enjoy that too, I'm guessing. Like, they made the trades. Yeah. Were you excited to see them make 2 picks? What was that like for you?
I was. That was so cool to see, and just, like, for the first pick, we were still like in our seats, and our seats were like really close to the stage and everything. And that was so cool just to see them come out and announce the pick and everything like that. And then for the second pick, we were like kind of walking back to our seats. Like I was finding my family, and I was taking a picture with my parents, and Jerry Jones pops up on the screen, and my dad was like, I was like, oh, get him in the background. My dad was like, no, like turned around. So I think that was kind of funny. And it was just kind of like another little part of the story that like Cowboys and Steelers type of thing.
So what about you, Simone? Have you strayed from the pack, or are you a fan of Pittsburgh football, and is your family involved?
I am a fan of Pittsburgh football, and my family is also Steeler fans. It's something that I've always we've grown up watching it together, so I can't stray from the pack. I'm a true Steelers fan.
What was your thoughts on the pick?
Well, actually, this goes back to like my on-stage experience. I totally blanked. Like, I don't even remember who he picked. So I got off stage and my dad was like, the pick wasn't even there. I was too focused on, I don't even know what I was focused on, honestly. Maybe just listening to Jerome Bettis introduce us. But yeah, I kind of just blanked it out.
So, Maddie, you played quarterback and safety this year, and Simone played running back and defensive back, alternated between cornerback and safety. How would you guys describe your experience playing flag? I got out to cover. It was actually funny. One of Maddie's games against North Allegheny ended due to lightning. I think they resumed it at some point. But what was it like for you guys, especially now that it's a sanctioned sport? And I'm sure it was a little bit different this year.
Yeah, it was just really like, I don't know, just the way that the whole sport has grown over the past couple of years has been really cool to see. And just like the development of not even like my team, but all the other teams. And like Seneca's like, we're kind of known to have a really big team. We had like 40 plus girls this year between JV and varsity. So like just seeing that all these freshmen and like 8th graders are coming up and being excited to play for flag football is like really cool to see, because like when it started my sophomore year, we had a pretty decent sized group, but like nothing like it was today. This year, I guess. And then like going to the other schools and just seeing the sizes of their teams too, it's just like cool to see that like, wow, like everyone else wants to try this too. And it's just like, yeah, so cool.
Yeah, for me, it's been an unforgettable experience. I mean, ever since freshman year, because I've been playing since freshman year, they introduced it as a club at my school to start off with, and I was so excited just to be a part of something like a different sport, and something that's growing immensely. But what I love most about it is how different it is from soccer, because it just pushed me and challenged me in different ways than I thought. But yeah, it's been incredible.
When you guys were in, like, say, junior high, I mean, did you think to yourself, why isn't there some form of football at the high school level? Or did you not even think about it until your high school formed the teams? Did you think that, hey, maybe somebody should start this up 5-6 years ago?
I haven't thought about it since my high school introduced it, but now, like, looking back on it, I think it should have been introduced a lot sooner, because I believe that women should have the same opportunities as men.
Yeah, I completely agree. I never even crossed my mind, honestly. Like, I didn't even know about it. So they started at Seneca my sophomore year, and two of my close friends started the actual team. And the only reason I went is because they kept begging me to come to like the open gyms and stuff like that. And honestly, like, I had no desire to play football. I'd never thrown a football before that, and it was just like I've always played other sports, and they were like, just come try it out, and then it kind of just like picked up and went along with it, I guess.
So you're both about a month from graduating. What can you tell us about your future plans? We'll start with Simone on this one. What's up on deck for you?
So after graduation, I will be attending Western Michigan. I will be continuing my soccer career there, and I will be pursuing my dream of becoming a pilot.
Whoa.
So with that being said, yeah, I'll be studying aviation flight science.
What are you thinking of doing with that? Like commercial pilot or something else?
Yeah, I want to be a commercial pilot.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
You are
Sorry, I'm
much
over here
more of a daredevil
freaking
than
out.
me.
You can't see me, but the guys are looking at me and I'm like, hold, don't talk. I'm going to hit the applause button again. Okay.
Maddie, what's up for you?
I'm going down to West Virginia, so I'm going to Marshall University, which is in Huntington, and then I'm getting my bachelor's in digital marketing.
Nice. What do you plan to do with that?
Wherever the wind blows me, honestly. Whatever I can find. I'm thinking somewhere with, like, I want to be in a big company and like the director of marketing or something, like dream big. But just honestly, wherever's open and wherever I can grow as like an employee over time.
Before we let you go, we didn't even ask about this. What was it like meeting Jerome Bettis?
It was crazy.
The bus.
Maddie's like, Jerome who?
Yeah. I've heard so many stories about him, and like when we won the award, obviously, like my dad was like Jerome Bettis, and I was like, yeah.
He seems to be a very likable guy, though. I know, we see him when he's on
Mhm.
TV, but he does seem to be a guy that has a really amiable personality. You got to admit that, Jake. As not a non-Steeler fan, Jerome Bettis seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I have nothing against him. And it was the Super Bowl in Detroit was like one of the coolest moments I've ever seen as a sports fan in general. So, what was some of the other surprises like behind the scenes, or what was it like just getting shuffled around from place to place before the pick was made?
It was like kind of chaotic, but it was like organized chaos. I feel like they knew exactly what they were doing, exactly when they were going, and everything. And like it was never like a question of when are we going up or this or that. Like we walked in a line up until backstage, and then we were just waiting back there. And then they were like, okay, they gave us a countdown and everything.
Maddie, since
Yeah,
you
even our seats where we were sitting were pretty cool. We were like front stage, and we could see everything.
Nice.
Maddie, the fact that you not only were on stage, but you did see some of the other stuff, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and some of the other activities. The fact that there were roughly, from what I hear, about 500,000 people in town for that. How do you think everything was run? Considering all the people, do you think it went pretty smoothly overall?
Honestly, yeah, it was a lot more smooth than I was expecting. I was expecting to have to like wait in traffic every single place I go, like a big crowd. Like the worst like spot I would say would be to get into Point State Park, but we were there at like prime time and everything. So like we waited in line for probably like 30, 45 minutes just to get into there. But like once you were in there, it was so spread out that it felt like a lot of people, but it wasn't really like shoulder to shoulder to barely move. Like you could walk on your own path and stuff like that.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Good luck at Western Michigan, Simone, and
Thank
for you, Maddie, at Marshall. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, girls.
Thank you so much for having us.
A cool opportunity for those two young ladies. Really, really cool. And they're both football fans.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not only do they play flag football, but they're also football fans. So nice treat for them to take part in an historical event. I mean, who knows the next time the draft's going to be in Pittsburgh? If they keep rotating it, maybe 30 years from now, I don't know.
They want to have a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh now. That's what Art Rooney said. He said
Jeez.
the way it went so smoothly for the draft, he expects to have a Super Bowl someday. So
I don't want to go down. Philly wants to do the same thing. I don't want to go down this
Derek's
rabbit hole.
face.
I like either domes or warm weather stadiums, warm weather cities.
Yeah,
in
with
that case,
it would-
Cleveland could host a Super Bowl here in the upcoming years.
Do you
That's
want
only
to?
where they're getting
Cleveland?
to the one.
Do you want
It would
a
be
dome
way-
in Pittsburgh?
I mean,
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
No.
I don't want a dome. No. I love the view of the city
Would you-
from both stadiums.
Would you do a retractable roof?
No. Because if they do that, anytime it gets anywhere near bad weather, they're just going to close the roof.
Mhm.
And Kansas City's supposed to move into a dome in like
Yeah.
7 or 8 years from now. I don't like that.
Beyond sporting events, since they went to the NFL draft, what is like a sports adjacent event that you would most want to go to as a fan or get like behind the scenes or something like that? Whether it's the draft or something else.
Brendan, sports adjacent.
The World Cup has always been a pretty cool thing, and that's coming to the United States, but I'm sure I will not get out there this summer. But that's something people, especially to go to like a different country and see that and how excited people get about it, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I actually do get into the World Cup just because it involves countries from all over the world who normally would not even think of each other. Like group play, you've got Ivory Coast playing Sweden, and it's like, what? Could these two countries find each other on a map? Honestly, I hate to grab onto his coattails, but honestly, World Cup would be pretty cool.
I think if I'm thinking a competition or some sort that's not an actual game, I'd do home run derby. That would be pretty fun.
Back. Gone. You want Chris Berman calling it?
Yeah, I mean he makes it entertaining. It's not. I mean, especially a couple years ago when he was a bit younger and a little bit fresher. Not to denounce him, he's had a legendary career, but
he is getting up there though.
yeah, he deserves to ride off into the sunset whenever he so chooses. But I remember some of those 2000s home run derbies, especially when like Ryan Howard and Bobby Abreu were in it. And I was paying attention more closely then, and those calls were always fun because he never took it as seriously as like some other baseball announcers would have in that situation, because he wasn't a baseball announcer full time. He was a studio NFL host, so he had the freedom to mess around.
And he was in on the ground floor of ESPN when it debuted in 1979. Chris Berman.
These Guys Have All the Fun is a crazy, crazy book. If you guys have not read that one,
I have not read that one.
it's a good one.
Yeehaw!
Brendan.
He won again last week, I see.
Actually,
Won and
last week was
lost.
2. I gave him 2
Oh.
questions.
Oh,
last week.
yeah.
He went 1-1. All right, Brendan. This one's real easy. I mean, just very clear cut. You don't really have to think about it. You just
Middle
it or not.
fastball.
Yeah, there you go. Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Steelers for 19 seasons. How many of those 19 seasons did the Steelers miss the playoffs?
5.
How many Super Bowls do the Steelers have?
6.
6 seasons. Mike Tomlin missed the playoffs.
I thought it was less than that.
2009, 2012, 13, 18, 19, and 22. But
So
here-
for
here-
all
here's
the
the
complaining
indictment
of
on
the-
Tomlin, though. People that love to hate on Tomlin, I liked him. I thought he was a good coach. But here's the key. In how many of those 19 seasons did he win at least one playoff game?
Ooh, I heard this last year.
I think it was like 4.
Yeah,
4.
I was gonna say
4 of
5.
19
Okay.
seasons he won a playoff game. That's not good.
That's a little bit tricky, and not specifically like defending Tomlin. It's a little bit tricky to look at playoff records for coaches or quarterbacks, which is where it's normally tagged to, because you're going to end on a loss almost every single year, except if you win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So every year you're in the playoffs, you're more than likely going to be under 500 in the playoffs, because you're
Right.
probably going to go 0-1.
But
it's still
Why are you probably going to go 0-1? Why can't you win 2 games and get to the Super Bowl?
8 teams get knocked out in the first round. So more often
But
than
why are the Steelers consistently that team? That's the question.
I think my whole point is like when we look at playoff records, sometimes we get a little too caught up in the win side of it when like it's a single elimination tournament from that point on. It's not like I think regular season record is much more indicative of what your record can be because you can lose in week 3 but win the next 3 games. Whereas if you're in the playoffs, it's you lose and you go home. Like more often than not, you're going to see like teams with a losing or 500-ish record in the playoffs over a very long stretch of time because several of them are going to lose in the first round every year. Like even my Eagles, those Super Bowl runs are rare compared to some of their other runs.
I believe I just did this off the top of my head. I believe Cowher was 11 or 12-9 in playoffs. 11 or 12. So for the vast majority of teams, they are going to have a loss in the playoff. If they make it, they're going to have a loss. But that doesn't mean you can't have 2 wins in that same season to get to the Super Bowl or get to an AFC Championship game. I think he was 12-9.
I'm going to see how many times he went one and done. But we should continue because dead air will sound great as a podcast.
Well, I cut grass this weekend, and I think Jake was offended by the fact that when he walked in today, he's like walking real gingerly. And I said, "You look." I said, "You look like I do after cutting grass." And he thought he's thinking to himself, "I just ran 10 miles." Well, I'm also 48 years old, and cutting grass for 2.5 hours takes a toll on this body. Let me tell you.
How much would you have to be paid to run 10 miles at this instant?
I'd die. It wouldn't happen.
Well, yeah, you have to legitimately train for that.
I don't know. I could walk outside and run 10 miles right
now. Nope. No, you could not.
Yeah, I could.
Come on now. Let's be real.
Okay,
We're not saying you're not athletic, but I'll be honest, even as an athlete, and I was an athlete as a cyclist, if I went and took a CrossFit class, it was rough because my body wasn't used to doing that movement. Mm-hmm. You're in this plane of motion, right? You're used to playing flag football and changing that plane of motion. It would be hard.
I could do it. I could absolutely walk out.
But then you'd be gingerly as well.
Jake, I think you're.
I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt, but I could put on my t-shirt and shorts that are in my bag right there.
Hey, well, let's
walk outside.
You know what? When are we gonna start doing this kind of stuff on the podcast?
I think Jake's about to ask me a trivia question. I'm going to try to answer it.
Hold on, wait.
I wasn't. We could do it this way. That's fine.
It's so much better.
Bill Cowher went one and done twice.
Yes.
92 and 93.
Correct. His first 2 years. Yeah.
That's fun.
So I'm just saying you can win a playoff game and then lose.
He won and won a bunch.
So one and done is consistently is what the Steeler fans are great.
There are only 2 seasons though in which he won more than one playoff game.
But winning one is
95.
But he did have a winning record, right?
12-9. Yep.
12-9.
For those listening, Derek's football trivia knowledge is not limited to the Steelers. I asked him last week about the 1972 Green Bay Packers.
No, he asked me between 1968 and 94, what was the only season that the Packers won a division title? And I said 72. John Brockington was their top running back. Scott Hunter. Bam! Vince Lombardi.
Listen.
Channeling my inner Vince Lombardi. So it is time for our Beyond Butler segment where we talk about something outside of Butler County, whether it be pro or college sports. And as you guys know, I'm not a hockey guy, but I can recognize when a great player, pretty much in any sport, looks like he's on his way up. And that appears to be the case with Penguin star Evgeny Malkin. Of course, the Penguins dropped their opening round Stanley Cup series to the Flyers last week, and it looks like Malkin, who wants to play at least one more year, but if he does, it looks like it's going to be somewhere other than Pittsburgh because his contract's up, and I don't see the Penguins re-signing him. I want to get your opinion first on this, Jake, because you're kind of an outsider. You're a Flyers fan. We've heard your opinion on Sidney Crosby. What are your thoughts on Evgeny Malkin? Not just on his stats, but just your perception of him over the last 20 years.
I paid way less attention to because I'm a casual hockey fan. Like I'll root for the Flyers when they're doing well. When they're not, hockey is not my number 1 or 2 sport, so I'll check out a little bit more. My sports fandom hatred has always been directed more towards Crosby just because he was face of the franchise. Malkin, to me, not as big a deal. But I also know people like who are Penguins fans who don't like him that much. I was very confused in some of the conversations I had during this playoff series where people were blaming him and Letang for being down 3-0 and then eventually losing the series. And I'm like, Crosby was shut out for the first 3 games. And now I know he's had a much better year. Like his regular season was phenomenal. He's still really good. But I'm like, if you're going to blame anyone of the forwards, not excluding the goalies or anything, on the failure of this series, Crosby was non-existent for 3 games. He was getting into fights that he normally doesn't get into, like pulling guys' helmets off, like Ristolainen's helmet off. Like just the Flyers were getting under his skin in a way that he's supposed to be bigger than. And he flat out underperformed in the first 3 games. And I would say he's a large reason why they lost that series. Malkin, though, I have much less much weaker feelings about him or Letang or any of the other like long time. I think so. Yeah,
Malcolm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's not first tier like
Wayne
Mount
Gretzky.
Rushmore. Yeah,
Wayne
like
Gretzky.
Crosby's going to be, but he's absolutely first ballot Hall of Famer, no question.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the Penguins list of all-time great players, Lemieux, Crosby, Malkin. I think that's pretty safe to say, right?
Probably, yeah.
I don't see anybody else cracking the top 3 there. Brendan, you got some stats you want to revise here.
I don't have the exacts in front of me. I typed them out, but he is second in games played.
1,269.
Mm-hmm.
He is third in goals scored,
533.
assists,
874.
and points scored.
1,407.
So this is a guy that everyone has kind of criticized the Penguins of wanting to run these 3 guys out in Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, and kind of giving them that last shot at greatness of maybe making a run, which they did this year. I'm someone like my dad's favorite player wasn't Crosby, it was Malkin. Like whenever he would buy shirts and stuff, he would get Malkins. And he's a guy that always stepped up. Crosby had those concussions and he'd get injured, and Malkin would always be the guy to step up, and it's almost like they had another like number 1 star.
Yeah.
So
1A and 1B.
all of this to say, yeah, it's really cool that as a Penguins fan, I got to see them win 2 Stanley Cups and cheer for them the way I did. But Connor McDavid in Edmonton hasn't won a cup yet. Just ousted in the first round this year. And it's possible he might want out of Edmonton. I was talking to my brother about this on the way here. The Penguins have a pretty good farm system. They have the draft picks. How cool would it be to see Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby play on the same team?
Wow. Well, there's something to chew on. But I just wanted to just the Penguins in the 03-04 season, 23 wins the whole season, 23 wins. The next year was completely wiped out by the labor dispute and player lockout. Crosby came in the very next year, 05-06. Malcolm was right after him in 06-07. And they actually won 3 cups together. I don't know if you remember 09, but they won.
I didn't watch that. So
they actually won 3 cups together. And, I mean, you got guys who are legends for their franchise who not only never won a championship, but a guy like Ernie Banks, one of the greatest players in
Mr. Cub,
one of the greatest baseball players ever to play. He never even played in a playoff game, let alone a World Series. But, of course, back then there was only the World Series. There was no playoff leading up to the World Series. But my point is, when you got somebody like Malkin who contributed so much to 3 cups, and you can say Crosby's ranked ahead of him on the list of the Penguins' all-time great players, which he is. But Malkin has had a huge part in that, and I don't know if you're a fan of a team where there's a guy who's spent his entire career there. Does it bother you to see him go play 1 or 2 seasons at the very end of his career with another team?
It depends on how it goes, how the breakup happens. If it's something like this where it's kind of like we need to be moving on towards the future, we need to be kind of shaking things up, maybe salary cap's a little bit involved. It sucks, but I get it. It's more when it's
like James Harrison leaving the Steelers and playing for the Patriots and the Bengals.
Well, he actually
no one seems to remember that.
He also played for the Ravens like earlier in his career.
The one that probably hurt me the most was Brian Dawkins leaving for Denver for a couple years and was a shell of himself at that point. But I also understood it. Like the Eagles didn't want to pay him top 15 safety money anymore when he was clearly maybe the 16th best safety and was going to be on his way down, and quickly proved that with Denver. But when he retires and comes back and has the ceremony with the Eagles, like he's an Eagle forever. No one's going to think of him as a Bronco. It's the same thing as, some of the all-time greats there. I'm blanking on the 49ers quarterback from the 80s.
Montana.
Oh my God.
It's okay. He's
Really tired.
I think it's time
he cut grass
off for the day.
Give him a
Yeah.
break. He cut grass yesterday.
Montana. No one thinks of Montana with the Chiefs. No one thinks of Montana cutting grass with the Chiefs. Like, we don't acknowledge that.
It would be not as hard to see Malkin leave on good terms as it's been watching Andrew McCutcheon leave, and
Come back and leave.
he's not happy with how things ended in Pittsburgh because he came back to be part of a team that won again, to be a key part of that, and they say, you know what, we don't need you. They go get Marcelo Ozuna instead, and he let it be known when they went down to Texas that he wasn't really happy with the way things unfolded, which it sucks to see, as probably my favorite baseball player of all time.
I wasn't old enough. I was old enough. I was living, but I don't remember this contract dispute and then him leaving. I don't actually have memories of it. I've read about it. Franco Harris played his last few games with the Seattle Seahawks of all teams.
Yeah.
If we think about it, though, like so few players get that ride off into the sunset the way that fans dream of. And sometimes I think we as fans will glorify the jerseys in which our favorite players wear. In one respect, these are jobs. And when a company says, we don't want you anymore, but that employee thinks, I still have more to do, and another company is willing to hire them, that's their right. And if another company wants to hire them, that is also their right to do so. On the other side of it, too, is like the people that get that career with one franchise are so few. We think it's way more than it is, but it's so few. Like for every John Elway, there are thousands of players who will bounce around between teams for their
especially
entire career.
with the day and age we live in now, where number one, you mentioned Elway, quarterbacks are playing longer just because. I mean, look at Tom Brady. He played for the Buccaneers at the end of his career. Quarterbacks are playing longer into their career. They're playing into their 40s just because they're allowed to. They're not taking the monster hits every week like they did 35, 40 years ago.
And science has helped it too.
Science absolutely. And plus, I mean, free agency. Back in the day, there was no free agency when Bradshaw played. There was no free agency when, Staubach was playing for the Cowboys. So, it's a different time. And I think there's a lot of variables that go into a guy who maybe 35, 40 years ago would have played his entire career with one franchise. Now he's playing for two or three other teams.
The way I look at this, and it was smaller success, is the Phillies team, probably the team I am most in love with as a fan, was the late 2000s Phillies. I really liked the early 2000s Donovan McNabb teams. I really liked some of these Eagles teams right now or over the last 10 years. But I was always like a baseball guy number one or baseball kid number one. So when it's Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley and Ryan Howard and Shane Victorino and all those guys from like 2005 through 2011, when that run starts to end, even though they had only won one World Series and they'd been to second and got blown out by the Yankees in a series that I thought they should have won, when it starts to crumble, you're kind of grieving the whole process like you're watching a family member die in like real time, because you know that there's not a chance that it can ever be like that again. Like what the Penguins have, as much as I like to, like I've been enjoying winning this series, because the Penguins should have beat the Flyers. They should have won like 4-1, 4-2 at most. And I've enjoyed this, but you don't know what the other side of this is going to look like. Are the Penguins going to be good again immediately after the Crosby and Malkin era? Who knows? Like they may not get lucky to draft another Sidney Crosby-like guy the way they had with Lemieux near the end, and Crosby kind of steps in for those last 2 years and he's the heir apparent. They could go through a 15-year swoon here where they're nothing. I mean, I'm not saying that that's likely, but
I'm just hoping the Steelers don't go through that. That's what I'm hoping.
I would kind of grieve this process right now and realize like what you had, because I know there's been I've heard from a couple Pittsburgh area fans who like want to see this team get blown up. It's like, And like it has to end. It does have to end. I'm not saying like drag these guys out until they're 50 just because, but you have no idea what the other side of this is going to look like. And it could be good. It could be bad.
Look, I'm totally fine with the Steelers not having Mike Tomlin anymore. I mean, I think I mentioned this before. I think he was a good coach, but 4 years and 19 with a playoff win. All I'm saying is people think it was just a question of getting rid of Tomlin, or as was the case, Tomlin getting rid of them because he basically quit. But it doesn't mean the grass is going to be greener. I hope it is. I mean, I hope McCarthy has great success in Pittsburgh, but there's no guarantee they could be worse, and that's what I'm fearful of.
Yeah, exactly.
Brendan.
It's
Agreed.
I agree. Yeah. Laura's checking back in now. Laura's had enough for the day.
So we often talk on the show about accomplishments of high school athletes, but there is another end of the spectrum, and that brings me to the case of Montauk Junior Grayson Rotman, a softball player who found out last summer that she has a condition called Charcot foot, and it's a condition where your bones in your foot are literally disintegrating, and it causes major swelling. And she was told that because of this, her athletic career is over. Now she's getting around either on crutches or a knee scooter. She tries to show up at games and practices as much as she can to help her teammates. She was a former pitcher, so she tries to help out with the pitching staff. But, I mean, you talk about somebody getting a very raw deal. That would be like the understatement of the year with what this girl's dealing with right now. Brendan, you laid the story out. I wrote it. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously she still has her life to live, but considering that her athletic career is over and even things that she was hoping to do outside of athletics could be in jeopardy now just because, she literally can't put weight on this foot at all.
Yeah, when we think about injuries, and that's not so much an injury as a condition, but when you think about something that sets you back physically, it's like usually there's a road to recovery. It's going to set you back for a certain amount of time. Hearing you talk about that, like, it makes me wonder more so than put aside high school softball, high school athletics. For someone that, as they grow older, how do you exercise? How do you stay healthy? How do you even get, like you mentioned, she's on crutches or a knee scooter. Like I'm not saying quality of life would go down, but that would change things so much. Where like think about not even being able to walk up the stairs at like a normal pace. Like having to going upstairs would be a task on crutches, or you need to find a ramp with a knee scooter. So I've always thought it's really cool, and I wrote about one of the Mars basketball players this past season. Their star basketball player, what was his name? A blank on it.
Austin
Wroblewski, about like what they do after sports, because everyone has a life after sports, unless you're like us who write about it and are around all the time. But that is a really interesting story that I think should be followed up on at some point, maybe down the road, of what was it like and what did that teach you about like yourself and about your own personal journey.
Wroblewski, just to fill our viewers in if they have forgotten, he's a very good basketball player from Mars. I'm sure he would have had an opportunity to play somewhere in college, but he chose not to play. He just wants to get on with his education, and he's chosen not to play college basketball. The case of Grayson Rotman is just to give you some background on her condition and her situation. To be afflicted with Charcot foot, you need to first have a pre-existing condition, neuropathy, which is where you get numbness in your feet or hands. And of course, of Charcot foot, it's obviously in the foot. She she contracted neuropathy 3 years ago when she hit a growth spurt, and this was stemmed from the fact that when she was born, and I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but she was born with a degree of spina bifida. Mm-hmm. But it never really affected her until 3 years ago when she hit a growth spurt and she contracted neuropathy in her left foot. And once the neuropathy was in place, that's when this Charcot foot took hold. She actually played last year, but she had to wear a different size cleat because her foot was swelled up and it was bigger than the other one. So she literally had different size cleats on, and she thought that once she thought it was a Liz Frank injury when it first happened. And she had surgery for that, and they thought, once the season's over with, she's not putting as much weight on it. They thought it was going to clear up. And she found out last summer, as she's preparing for her junior year, I think it was in July of last year, that doctors told her your athletic career is over. And it's just tough to see. I mean, we do stories on kids that have their season ended because of injury. This is a young lady that's had her entire athletic career, the rest of it, anything she might have been able to have accomplished is gone. And as I said to Brendan just a few minutes ago, it could literally affect, other things outside of athletics she wants to take part in, she wants to do the rest of her life.
It does say she wants to, the story mentioned she wants to be an attorney. So like, hopefully she has a long, successful career with that. And crazy story and a good job with it. And appreciate that she was willing to talk to us about it and share some of that perspective, because it's a difficult thing for any teenager, much less an adult, to deal with, because it's life altering.
Yeah, and when I asked her, what are your future plans, and she said, this whole ordeal that she's gone with, it has obviously affected her physically. It's taken away her athletic career, and she said that she plans to be an attorney. So she has more impetus to focus on academics now, because obviously to be an attorney, that's a whole lot of work in college, law school, all that stuff that she's going to have to go through. But I think it's good that she has a goal. She has a focus that she could say, this is where I want to be in 5 years and 10 years, because, when you have something to focus on, it can take the attention away of things that aren't going so well for you, as is the case with her right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Next week, I'll try to give you an easier one so you get it. Trivia question.
Playoffs. We're going to be talking about the playoffs.
We're going to be talking about playoffs. Baseball, softball, lacrosse in the WPIAL, boys volleyball. It's all coming down the pike, and we'll bring it to you next week. Thanks for listening. We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.